Well, it's time now to check in with our team at the World Economic Forum in Davos. It's day 2 and all eyes are on the EU, hoping European leaders will be confirming that the bloc's economy is moving firmly back on track. French President Emmanuel Macron is one of the eagerly awaited speakers. Let's hand over to our business editor, Kate Moody. Kate, tell us more.
Well, that's right, Eve. We have another all-star lineup on deck here in the snowy Swiss Alps. We've got Angela Merkel, we've got Michel Temer of Brazil, and of course, as you mentioned, Emmanuel Macron, the French president, hoping to put himself forward as the new face, the new leader of Europe, presenting his vision not just for the continent, but for the global economy and development. Now, he has some legislative achievements to spotlight, of course, his labour reform, his plan to fight against fake news, a more controversial hardline stance on immigration. But his broader themes are very much in line with the traditional Davos worldview, a call for open society and borders, for equality, for technological advancement and responsibility, and for action on climate change. Those are all very themes that are very much on message for the global elite here in Davos. Now, it's also likely to be a stark contrast to the other message coming from the other star of the week. The first members of the American delegation are due to arrive in Davos later on. The Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin will be leading that delegation for now, putting forward the first round of that message, America first, a rather protectionist message that really is rubbing against the grain for many of those gathered here. Now, to get a sense of how Emmanuel Macron is likely to be received by the business leaders gathered here, I've been speaking to Gary Reeder of KPMG, trying to get a sense of how his clients are reacting to the French president's efforts to make the country more friendly for business. Take a listen.
I think he is doing a great job for France and marketing for France. He really is. And I think his coming to Davos, as you said in your introduction, is seen, I think, as still a great high spot for the whole event, even with Mr. Trump coming the next day. And I think what we in business are all looking for is him to bring some clarity about his vision, not just for France, but for the world. I think one of the challenges we're picking up around Davos this week is uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world, and we're hoping that Mr. Macron, in his speech, may just begin to shed some light on both policies of France and his vision for the world more broadly.
Now, Paris has been campaigning hard to get to attract business post-Brexit, companies that might be considering leaving London. How do you think that's being perceived? Are any of your clients considering coming to Paris?
Very honestly, I've not spoken to one that's moving to Paris. I mean, there have been overtures from France since the referendum in 2016, but at the moment, I think many are keeping their cards close to their chest when it comes to potential locations. But France, Germany, many of the major countries in Europe are clearly interested in, if there is a need to move business into Europe, that they potentially take that business.
What about how Brexit negotiations have been going? Is there a sense of worry or perhaps relief about the way they've been going? Is there really going to be a good enough deal that clients can stay in London?
Well, back to my earlier point about uncertainty, Kate, I think, good that we got to the position we did in December to move forward the UK in its discussions with the EU. But I think this year is obviously critical, and I don't feel that I'm able to predict the final Brexit outcome. It's going to be a challenging 12 months, most definitely. But, we've got to work hard together with our colleagues in Europe to get the best deal we possibly can.
Now, yet another big topic of conversation here at this year's Davos is gender equality. For the first time, there are 7 women who've been listed in as the co-chairs of the event. They include Christine Lagarde of the IMF, the CEO of IBM, and the Prime Minister of Norway. Now, that's sending a rather strong message. The forum's organisers have told me that they were actually looking at the qualifications rather than the gender, of course, first of all, before they selected those leaders. It is hard to ignore the statement, though, and while some people do see this as something of a publicity stunt, one of the co-chairs, the Indian entrepreneur Chetna Sinha, has told France 24 that she thinks it's one of the most historic moves the forum has ever taken. Now, this call for gender equality and gender parity, creating a better working environment for women, was very passionately put forward by Justin Trudeau of Canada yesterday. He said it's not just a moral imperative, but an economic one, that empowering and advancing women in the workplace is the smart thing to do. all these messages coming as the World Economic Forum itself admits that not enough progress is being made on this front, that it's likely to be over 200 years still before the global gender pay gap is actually closed. This focus, of course, also comes as the Me Too movement continues to sweep the globe. I've been speaking to Shelley Zalis, CEO of the Female Quotient, about why that timing is significant.
First of all, we spelled feminism, putting the word men in feminism. Feminism. Modern feminism must include all of us. I say it's we for we. It is the collective. So I think the Me Too movement has broken the silence. It's time to stop holding in the things that don't work. And what Katharine Hepburn says is, if you obey all the rules, you don't have any fun. So it's time to break some rules, rewrite them for today's modern workforce, because they really just don't work. So I think not only do we need to use our voices, but we really do need to rewrite the rules and implement a culture of respect for one another.
And you can hear a lot more about those issues and some of the other things being discussed in Davos on our special edition of People and Profit that'll be airing and on our website later on. We've just got time for a quick check of the markets. It was a mixed close in Asia. The Nikkei sinking about 0.75% after its record-breaking session on Tuesday. European markets are just starting their trading day. A fairly flat open for the moment. We'll check in later and see if they've been responding to the events of Davos later on this evening.
Okay, Kate, thanks for that. Kate Moody there reporting for us from Davos and the World Economic Forum. Well,